Thanks for joining us this afternoon in Usap Pinoy, Kauban ni Goyo, and we have the honor and pleasure to have as guest Princess Galura. If you're a triathlete or want to get into triathlon or you know about the triathlon scene in the Philippines, you know Princess. She is, when you talk about triathlon, you cannot talk about triathlon without talking about Princess and what she's done for triathlon in the Philippines. Grabe. Princess, thank you very much, and thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Mayong hapon, good afternoon. Thank you, Goyo, for having me here. As I said, I wore pink because I know it's your favorite color, and of course, the Ironman brand.
Yes, thank you. So, triathlon. What is triathlon?
Triathlon is diba?
Yes,
Three, meaning three. It's three sports into one. It's swimming, biking, and then running. And
in that order?
In that order, and you have to do it all in one go, all in one day, or all in within the period of time you're allowed to.
Okay. So, a lot of people have been jumping into the sport recently in the past 10 years, diba? And you've seen the sport grow in leaps and bounds. In fact, you are one of the prime movers of pushing triathlon sport forward, diba? So, for example, me, I'm a newbie. I want to join triathlon. What's the distance I have to consider in joining? Are all triathlon events the same distance? No.
Actually, no. In fact, Goyo, meron pang bata. You can start as early as 6 years old.
Can I join that?
And the distance for a 6-year-old is 100 meter swim,
Okay.
3-kilometer bike, and 1-kilometer run. So, ang ikli nun, diba? But that's for 6 years old. But for somebody who would like to go into it, like as an adult,
Yes.
you can either start with a sprint.
Okay, what's the distance?
A sprint meaning it's a 750-kilometer swim, a 20-kilometer bike, and a 5-kilometer run.
Okay.
Then, you can step up to do an Olympic distance. Why is it called an Olympic distance? Because it's the distance that they compete for in an Olympics or in any national game, like the SEA Games, the Asian Games, ganyan.
By the way,
Diyan tayo nanalo ng 3 gold and 2 silver noong 2019.
wow, very impressive.
Very
diba?
impressive in Asia. And basically, that's a 1.5-kilometer swim, a 20-kilometer, no, again, 1.5-kilometer swim, 40-kilometer bike, and 10-kilometer run. And dapat gawin mo yon within 1 hour and 30 minutes. Mabilis ka talaga. No?
Mabilis ka talaga dan.
Yes.
So, I do a sprint, then I say, okay, I've done a sprint, I do an Olympic distance. What comes after? What's the next
Yan
challenge?
na, ang tinatawag na Ironman 70.3.
Okay.
In older times, it's called the half distance because kalahati siya ng full Ironman. But it's parang it belittles the finishers because half lang sila.
Yeah.
So it's now called an Ironman 70.3, and it's a 1.9-kilometer swim, a 90-kilometer bike, and a half marathon of 21 kilometers. And you have to finish that in 8.5 hours. So the fastest professional in the Philippines who competed in Cebu did it in under 4 hours.
Huh?
So pag nag-start ng 6:30, bago mag 10:30 or mga 10 o'clock, may panalo na.
How can he do that? That's so fast.
Mabilis. Ang malamang dyan, ang swim niya nasa 20 minutes lang. So talagang mabilis.
Wow.
For a 1.9 kilometer, 20 minutes. Ganon.
Wow, I can't even imagine
So, ang full,
Okay.
mas grabe pa. Ang full,
Okay.
you have to do 3.8 kilometers swim, 3.8 kilometers swim, all in one go. 180 kilometer bike,
Okay.
and then a full marathon. Ang cut-off niyan, 17 hours. So, pag nagsimula kami ng 6:30 ng umaga sa Subic,
Yes.
magka-cut off kami ng mga alas 12:30. So, people are swimming, biking, and running at different stages all throughout the day.
And it's exciting to see it, diba? Because you see so many people in different sports in one venue.
Correct. And ano siya, parang ang competition mo, technically, sarili mo because at some point in time, ikaw na yung mismo nagsasabi, kaya ko to. Kasi wala kang teammate eh. Ang meron ka lang ikaw, saka pag-bike, di yung bike mo. Pag-swim, sorry talaga, you're alone.
You're alone talaga.
Yes. You're alone.
Yeah.
Ang Filipino, siguro we have a total of about 10,000 to 12,000 people who are doing triathlon from Iron Kids to a full distance.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's a lot of people from
That's a lot.
583 in 2009 when we first met in Camp Sur.
Yes.
We only had 583 people then. Right now, we do, 15 events a year from one event. So talagang people got into the triathlon sport in the last 12 years. That's why nga, it's one of the Philippines, aside from winning so many medals in the SEA Games, we are considered, our events are considered one of the best in the world.
I heard, and
Yes.
I've heard so many good reviews about how you do the events. As in, parang it is a world-class event. It's not parang, it is actually a world-class event. And many people, many world champions have commented on how good the events are run in the Philippines, specifically by you guys, di ba?
Thank you for
yeah,
that.
but it is true,
Thank
diba?
you for that kasi we always, my former boss, and still my boss, and forever will be my boss, Fred Oitengsu, always said we always have to beat ourselves.
Yeah.
We always have to, good enough never is. So we have to keep on pushing and pushing to be better. Ang pinaka gusto kong nangyari actually, Goyo, noong 2018,
Yes.
which was our 10-year anniversary in the sport, no? And 40 years anniversary of the Ironman. Itong shirt ko nga.
Yes.
Cebu won the best spectator race in the world.
Wow! Congratulations!
Beating
Galing,
300 or more races in the world, ha? We are third world, ha? Remember, we're
Exactly.
third world. And we just try to do our best all the time. Why? Because yung mga Pilipino, mga Cebuano, talagang when we are in Cebu, they welcome the sport. They welcome the participants. Kung maka-cheer, kala mo lahat sila si Piolo Pascual.
Oo.
Lahat kala mo, rockstar.
Parang naman tayong Piolo minsan, di ba?
Yun, so talagang, and Piolo actually raced,
He does, di ba?
he does, and he has not missed any Ironman event in 1 year. Kailangan siyang sumali.
Kailangan talaga masisa.
Magmula 2009, ha? Magmula 2009 until
Consistent.
2019.
But that also shows now when you get into the sport, it helps you also. So it helps you in work and other aspects of your life because it instills discipline. Means say if you're disciplined enough to do this event within a short period of time, you have to have the same discipline in your work and in family life, di ba? So it helps.
Yes. Actually, ang ating target market dito is ang pinaka-bulk, 35 years old to about 55 years old.
Okay, I fall into that.
Male. So, yan yung bulk ng ating mga participants. Yan na yung may pamilya, may trabaho, mataas na posisyon sa gobyerno,
Yes.
or kaya may sariling negosyo. So, the amount of time, focus, and dedication they put in triathlon, they also put in their whole life.
Exactly.
Yun. And maganda rin kasi sa triathlon para tayong may sarili nating frat.
Yeah.
Kasi magkakaibigan tayo lahat.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows
Yeah.
each other. So when you go to an event in Davao, in Cebu, in Subic, parang it's one big party and everybody is encouraging you to finish and cross that finish line. So even sa work, makakatulong talaga ang mga ibang co-triathletes mo when you are nahirapan, let's say nabagyo ka, immediately meron diyang sa start ng fundraising
To help you
people,
stand
yes.
up again, di ba?
Yes.
So that's
Maganda ang ating community.
and that just goes to show it's not only the sport, it's like a brotherhood na, di ba?
Yes. And sisterhood. Meron
And
pa rin naman
okay.
girls.
Question. So I've seen recent years more and more women get into triathlon. So how do you encourage even more women to get into the sport?
Kasi Goyo ganito siya di ba? Pero nung umpisa panay guys.
Yes.
And normally, we choose the best location so these guys can technically take their wives
Yes.
for a racecation.
Yes. Then
Diba?
after the race, you go
After
around.
the race, you go around. So it
eat.
becomes a racecation,
Yes.
whether it's in the Philippines, in Italy, in the United States, wherever, no? And then in 2016, we started creating an event for the women called Iron Girl.
Okay.
Iron Girl is a 5-kilometer run. No time, no timing chip. It's just running. If the men can do it and have a medal, going back to Manila from wherever they came from, Cebu or whatever, pati si wife, si girlfriend, si tita, meron na rin siyang medal.
Yes.
Then hopefully it jumpstarts her health and sports career.
And it's worked, di ba?
And it worked.
Ah.
Yeah. So alam mo ba, minsan meron kaming Iron Girl. Mas marami pang Iron Girl kaysa sa Ironman.
Huh?
Kasi,
Okay.
enjoy.
So, and sometimes,
Enjoy.
baliktad na. It's the woman who brings the guy.
Oo.
Oh, sabay ka sa akin, di ba?
Sabay na. Tapos sa Iron Girl, nakakatawa, yung mga Iron Man na yabang-yabang, magandang bike, whatever, silang tiga-bit-bit. ng mga bag ng asawa nila at tiga-picture sa finish line. Then it becomes a family affair. Kasi pag yung mag-asawa into sports na, the kid would want to emulate what the parents do.
And
Thus the growth of Iron Kids.
so Iron Kids, okay. So there's Iron Man events for guys, Iron Girl events for women, and there are Iron
Iron
Kids.
Kids.
So okay. So what do you mean Iron Kids? How young can kids join that event?
Actually, 6.
6 years old.
6 years old. Pero may sumasali mga 5. Kasi ayaw naman namin na we have a play category and a race category. Some 5 years old or even 6 years old, they don't want the feeling of competition.
But they want to
get
do
stressed.
it.
But they want to do it. So we have the play category.
Okay.
Pag play category, sa swim, bike, and run ka pa rin, pero hindi ka kailangang manalo. Kailangan ka lang matapos. So it's not about winning, it's about participating.
And
And that's what we want to do, right?
It's a personal achievement for them, di ba? Okay, I finished it. I was able to
You're
do
an
it.
Iron Kid.
Exactly, di ba?
Yes. And then, the bug gets on. So, 6 years old, 7 years old, hanggang 14.
Okay.
Tapos, nung 14 na sila, magkakaroon ng gap. Kasi, ang next mo dapat, 18 ka pa. Thus, we created the sprint and the Olympic for the 15 to 18.
So that gap will be that concern will be addressed, di ba?
Yes. And that will be now, so saan ka pa kukuha ng national athletes, di ba?
And you have to start them early.
Yeah.
That's your pool.
Yes. So now, the Iron Kids of 10 years ago are now the training pool of the national team. Thus, we can continue getting medals in triathlon. Hopefully, in the Olympics. Alam ko nga si Kim Mang Robang was trying to qualify for Tokyo eh. Kaya lang naabutan na ng pandemic, di ba? But nandun na tayo sa level na yun. Bakit? Kasi 12 years na yung sport natin ginagawang maganda.
And that's what we continue to emphasize now. When you do sports development, it's not
instant.
It's not like I want this year. I want a champion. I want a champion next year. Kuha ko ng tao. No, it takes time.
It takes time. It takes training. It takes discipline. It takes effort. It even takes finances.
Yeah, because that's expensive to join races, di
You
ba?
have to have a nice bike. I mean, not really a nice bike, but you have to have a bike.
Yes, and to go around, it takes money,
Yes.
and to train, it takes money talaga. And like you mentioned, you have to start them early.
Yes.
And ginagawa mo na yung, you're basically your events are the pool for the national government, the sports.
Little by little,
Agency.
diba? Little by little.
Galing ah.
Oo.
So, but now there's a concern, like you mentioned. Say Kim wanted to qualify for the Tokyo Olympics, but because of the pandemic, hindi natuloy, di ba?
Oo, na-stop eh. Actually, hindi ko na alam na saan na yung process niya ngayon eh. But, tinuloy nila lahat ng mga nanalo sa SEA Games, they continue the process. Of course, may matatalo, and then you continue going up until you hit the qualifying number for the Olympics.
So, hopefully the pandemic will end soon, but if it won't, I've seen some people, I think your post na, there are some online races.
Virtual ang tawag.
Virtual. What does that mean? For example, ako, I'm a triathlete. I want to compete in a virtual race. What do I do?
Kasi nga yung triathlon, hindi pwedeng stop-go eh. It's a lifestyle eh. You have to have that discipline and muscle memory of cadence for the bike, running for the run, diba? So, si Ironman, since we cannot do any live events for now during the pandemic, lalo na nung April, May, they started doing the virtual races. Meaning, you can pick certain distances every week and then finish that on a bike run because nobody can swim, diba?
Yeah.
And then continue on every week. So, iba-ibang distances. May sprint, may Olympic, may 70.3, may full. Meron pa nga Kona eh, noong October.
Meron?
Kona is like if Greece is to the Olympics, Kona is to Ironman.
So I assume there would be a number of Filipinos who join that.
Tayo laging pinakamarami sa Asia. Kasi nga, we've gotten the bug so hard na yung mga triathletes natin will just continue doing what they're doing. Aside from walang magawa, they want to keep their health and skill level there. So when it's time to race, ready sila. As you said, walang instant.
Exactly. So
Walang instant.
I cannot, for example, I cannot stop now pagkatapos, after a year,
Kala mo magaling ka pa.
yeah, hindi na.
Hindi
Wala
na.
na yan, di ba? So,
Oo.
you have to continue, di ba?
You have to continue. Tayo pa naman as Filipinos, we're not, gifted swimmers.
We're not. No.
We're not.
We're
Because
not.
wala namang masyadong body of water nearby, right? Wala. Saan ka pinakamalapit mo siguro? What? Batangas?
Yeah.
Diba? So talagang
I don't recommend swimming in Manila Bay.
So, in my mind, talagang open water, ano natin yan? Waterloo natin yan. Kung magaling tayong mag-karaoke, hindi tayo magaling mag-swim.
Okay.
Yan ang Filipinos.
So we have to overcome that. But it's
Yes.
good that they're doing now online, virtual.
Virtual,
diba?
yes.
But how do you? Okay,
You register.
you register online.
And then you finish it at your own time kasi nga work from home.
Yes.
Yung mga pwede nang lumabas, let's say hindi na kayo, let's say MGCQ ka na, pwede ka na mag-bike and run sa labas, 'di ba? Some places pwede na.
Pwede na.
So, in Mindanao pwede na, 'di ba? Up north pwede na. Tayo, pwede ka sa treadmill mo. Saka pwede ka
ito
sa
sa
bike
Metro
trainer. Yes.
You know, I've driven. I just came from the province, no. There are some areas na people can bike, especially up north, no? So they can do that. They can
They can do
join,
that,
and
yes.
they can bike talaga on the road.
Yes.
But like in Metro Manila,
Doon ka sa
bahay
kwarto
mo.
mo, sa bahay mo. Doon ka sa treadmill mo o sa bike trainer mo. Ganyan. So, sariling encoding. Siyempre, honesty system na lang, diba? Sino ba naman lulukuhin mo sa results mo kundi ikaw?
and like you mentioned, it's a race against yourself, diba? So if you want to do a personal record or new
You
record,
train.
you train, diba? So
Yes.
if lulukuhin mo sarili mo, wala talagang mangyayari sa'yo, diba? So
Correct.
if you're going to input the wrong number, you're only fooling yourself, not other people, because you're competing against yourself, diba?
Oh, I mean, you can say that, yeah, there's no wind. Kasi normally, pagka sa labas ka, may wind. May tulak, may hatak, di ba?
Yeah,
Siguro may konting diferensya. Kasi sa
May
loob ng
electrify
bahay,
naman. Pwede naman
wala namang hangin, di ba?
Yeah.
But hindi naman OA.
Yes.
Yun.
But it's good that people do it. So now, like I mentioned, the pandemic. Hopefully it will end soon. But what if the pandemic extends? How do you see? Kasi triathlon has been growing in leaps and bounds, diba? Even now, it's still being sustained because people still do virtual racing. But how do you do triathlons in a pandemic, in the middle of a pandemic? I think in the US, they already did, diba?
Actually, since September, Goyo, ang dami ng races na nararun ng Ironman worldwide, no?
Just not in the Philippines,
because in the Philippines medyo mataas pa yung cases natin.
Yes.
Like Taiwan, they were able to do so in September. They were also able to do so in Japan. Nagawa nila in Ironman Arizona. Nagawa nila in Gdynia. Madami nang nagawa. Recently, they did a full distance in Clearwater, Florida, where Chris Nichik, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, who is the first finisher with Down syndrome. So he finished it in 16 hours and 46 minutes, 14 minutes before cutoff.
Imagine you're in the middle of a pandemic, you join an Ironman competition, you have Down syndrome, and you made the cutoff. And that's the first in the world, diba?
And it's a full distance.
It's a full distance, diba?
So if you really want to do something,
you can.
The tagline of Ironman is anything is possible. So I think if you really put your mind, your energy, your focus, your effort into something, talagang you'll succeed. It will just take time. As we both said, walang instant. Kung hindi instant coffee. Yun na lang talaga instant. But we know the difference between instant coffee and a real
freshly brewed coffee, diba?
It's both coffee and, diba?
Diba?
So yung instant, dun ka pa rin sa matagal.
Yeah, nothing comes easy. You know, definitely nothing comes easy. So, in the Philippines, how do you see us coping, and how do you see us moving forward? Kasi I know a lot of triathletes na they're just itching to go back to compete, diba? Kasi they know the concerns, and everybody knows the concerns of the health protocols and, you know, the virus, but many naman are responsible. They know that, hey, I want to compete. I know there is a health concern, but I will make sure I follow health protocols. How do you move forward in a pandemic and after pandemic?
Actually, there are 5 pillars that Ironman made, no? And we are following that all over the world. Ang lagi naming katrabaho ngayon is basically mga LGUs.
Okay.
First, it was the IATF, and then more recently when the IATF already parang cascaded it to the regional level, no? So meron ng RTF.
Okay.
It's called the Regional Task Force. The Regional Task Force involves people from the DOT, the DILG, the PNP, the Office of Civil Defense, and many other LGUs. And they come in to meet us as a task force. We present to them the plans based on what we have learned from Ironman, meaning enhanced hygiene, screening and education, density reduction, touch point minimization, and athlete self-reliance. Yun yung 5 pillars. Now, we have to make a plan based on the specific location, whether it's Davao, Cebu, or Subic. And then, papakita namin yun sa kanila. Anong ibig sabihin ng enhanced hygiene? Ibig sabihin, laging may toilet, laging may alcohol, lagi dapat naka-PPE, lahat tayo may face shield, may face mask, ganyan. Anong ibig sabihin ng density reduction? Kung dating 3,000 tayo, baka ngayon 1,000 na lang tayo.
Space it out.
To space it out, ano ibig sabihin ng athlete self-reliance? Yung mga atleta, kailangan, kaya mo na yan gawin lahat. Kung kailangan mo ng tubig, kumuha ka. Hindi na namin iaabot sa iyo. Kung kailangan mo magpalit ng gulong, ikaw na magpalit ng gulong.
Oh, wala na.
So, wala na.
Yeah,
And then touch point minimization. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Yung shopping, lahat na online.
Yes.
Pick up mo na lang, diba? Or lahat na, turo-turo, o gusto ko yon, o bigay, kunin mo sa likod. Wala nang sukat-sukat, gano'n. Wala nang gano'n.
Pretty much everybody knows their fit na, di ba?
Oo. So basically, yun yung gagawin namin. Now, we always have to make the LGUs parang be confident that we are able to do so when we are allowed to very well. Kasi lahat tayo tatamaan eh. If something happens to their area or something happens, we all go down together.
Exactly.
So we always defer to the LGUs, kanilang, yung lookout
Yes.
sa kanilang mga constituents. Kasi kami, pupunta kami doon, aalis kami, sinong may iwan sila. Diba? So, we have to create some form of a bubble when we do this, such that when we enter and leave as clean as it can be.
Yeah, so
Hindi tayo nakahawa.
Exactly. And you keep everybody safe,
Yeah.
diba?
So, para tayong may bubble within that area, kung hindi pa confident ang LGU to do that, for whatever reason, bed capacity in the hospital, number of cases, whatever it is, then you continue the dialogue.
Yeah.
So, it's always government.
And again, you just don't stop. You continue the dialogue, constantly communicating if there are improvements or
Yes.
enhancements in the system.
It's fluid.
Yeah.
Gumagalaw lahat. And alam naman din natin na government would like to jumpstart the economy.
Oh yeah, and you know,
Diba? And this is a perfect way to do it kung ready na lahat. Diba? So, hindi naman nagmamadali, Goyo. Feeling ko nga, as more races are done internationally, there are more pegs eh. We gain confidence that it can be done.
yes.
Diba? You see how they actually do it. Ang dami ng videos how Ironman did it in Tampa or in Florida, in Arizona. Madami ng mga videos. So, the people, even before they get to the race, they kind of know what to expect.
Okay, so they're not going in blind. They know that, okay, this was how the race was done in Arizona, and this is what they did. This is what the athlete did. Uy, this is what the world champion did. Oh, I can follow what she or he did. Para at least safe ako, di ba?
And the more karera there will be in the world, there will be more examples that we can look to as reference. We can show the government, ito pong ginawa, anong nangyari? May nahawa ba? Wala po.
Wala.
O whatever. Ilan ang hospital beds na nandun? Ganyan. So it's really a continuous dialogue of keeping and trying, kasi we also cannot force the issue eh. Diba? Talagang dialogue with them. And so far, we have been, the LGUs and us, we are always, walang pilitan.
Okay.
Walang pilitan. We just listen to each other, ano yung concerns, and then stop. Kung hindi pa pwede, then continue again.
You
Kung
don't
kailan
force
pwede.
it, di ba?
Yes.
But like you mentioned, triathlon events, especially the Ironman in the Philippines, is a big boost for the economy, the local economy, because just imagine, people go there, they stay in hotels, after that, they spend money to go around, di ba?
Yeah, you have to have a vehicle.
Yeah.
You have to eat. Right, and diba, even if we are in the pandemic, you're probably gonna bring in maximum one person,
Yes.
which is possibly your wife
Yes.
or somebody from the same household. Kakain at kakain kayo.
Oh.
Titira at titira kayo sa hotel. So talagang meron pa rin talaga siyang injection sa local economy.
It's a big and
Especially ngayon na wala, zero.
Oo,
Sino titira sa hotel?
exactly. If you know, you see a lot of hotels, many are just they just closed. They just decided to close because it's cheaper to just close it rather than open without
anybody there.
any customers,
Yes.
diba? So that will be a good thing. I hope things will be better soon kasi I don't
It's better na compared to March and April.
Oh yeah,
so better na,
oh,
'di ba? Sanay na tayo mag-mask, sanay na tayo mag-face shield.
At saka sanay na
mag-alcohol.
Yeah.
So konti pang sanay.
Konting push pa lang ng konti.
Konting push pa.
And what happens is that we continually learn, like for example, what you do is if there are new developments in the world of organizing triathlons, Ironman, di ba, you incorporate that in your plans, you incorporate that in your discussion with the LGUs and other government agencies para at least they will be informed, hey, ito yung bagong enhancement, ito yung bagong guidelines that we will do to make people safer, di ba?
Yes.
So it will also
give confidence to them.
yes, now okay, we can move forward. And a lot of people want to move forward because
athletes want to race.
Yes.
Businesses want to open. Diba?
Exactly. We have to do things in the new normal. So hopefully it will happen, no?
Alam mo, Goyo, the mere fact that the government units, the LGUs, the task force, the mere fact that they are open to discuss with us, sobrang thankful ako eh. Because I always thought, since this pandemic, the hardest job during pandemic is work in the government.
Okay.
Because it's thankless, it's never ending. Whatever you do, somebody will say something about you. And you're already doing your best, ha? And it's actually your first time to also handle a pandemic, ha?
Yeah.
We're all in the same boat, ha? And sila, walang tigil. So, alam ko, yung mga government units na to, sobrang busy na bagyo pa. Sunod-sunod pa yung bagyo.
I know, di ba? Sunod-sunod.
Sunod-sunod pa. And then, here we are, pwede po bang mag-Ironman? Parang, so the mere fact na kinakausap nila kami continuously, sobrang kaming thankful. So, pagkausap naman namin sila, hindi rin namin pinapahiya yung sarili namin because they gave us time. We really prepared to get into those meetings. And so far, we have been very, it's a learning process. Ngayon, alam ko na anong hinahanap nila.
Yes.
Diba? Ngayon, I'm sure, mas may alam na sila paano mag-handle ng big events because also of us.
Yes.
So, talagang tuloy lang to.
And for example, if you could have an event in one area and the LGU sees that it can be done, so others can say, hey, if they can do it, we can follow the same protocols they did, and we can do the same as probably a smaller event that will also help the local economies, help the local businesses, help the local sports, the athletes, diba?
Let's sa atin sa triathlon, sa bike pa lang, ang rules natin, non-drafting. So, natural, you are 12 meters apart.
Wala talaga.
Wala talaga. So, ang babantayan na lang natin yung run. Diba? So, you just have to make sure that they're 2 meters apart.
How about sa swim?
Sa swim, ganun din. Rolling start tayo eh.
Okay, so
every 5 seconds, rolling start meaning hindi sabay-sabay mag-swim.
Kasi before is
dati it's a mass start.
Mass start, diba? Everybody, diretso, no?
Ngayon, rolling start. So, dati instead of 6 na sabay-sabay, 3 na lang ngayon. So, 1, 2, 3, every 6 seconds, pakakawalan. So, first 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, next 3.
Next 3.
Ganon.
Then after 1,
so, naturally, they're already nakahiwalay. And sa swim, Goyo, you are seeded depending on your time to finish that distance.
So the fastest go first.
The fastest go first, and kunyari, we are in the same way. We wear the same color of the swim cap.
Yes.
Since we are the same speed, we finish at the same time. The next one, sa atin, alam natin yung speed niya eh. So talagang naturally, nakahiwalay. So nasa bike na.
Wait, before you go to the bike, you go to the transition area.
Sa transition area, dati, tabi-tabi kayo ng bike. Ganyan. Kung paano sa store mo. Ngayon, meron ng isang bike, space, bike. Space, bike. So, naturally also, nakahiwalay na kayo.
So, hindi ka
talaga. Tapos, self-reliant ka na, di ba?
Yes.
Kailangan mo ng magbomba ng gulo, ikaw gagawa. Wala nang mekaniko.
Okay.
May mekaniko, nakatayo lang doon. Sige, gawin mo.
Ah.
Ganon, diba? So, magbabike na. Paglabas nila sa transition, non-drafting tayo. 12 meters apart. Kundi hulihin ka ng drafting police.
Yeah.
Diba? So, natural, nakahiwalay na kayo. Sabay, naka-helmet ka, diba?
Yes.
Pag naka-bike. So, naka-sunglasses ka pa. So, safe.
Wala. It's like a face shield.
It's like a face shield. So, yung run na lang ang babantayan natin. Yung run, dapat lang i-make sure na naka-distansya sila ng 2 meters apart at least.
Or can they run?
Basta, parang ganyan.
Pwede,
Basta lang meron kang, kasi meron tayong magiging COVID protocol marshals na nakakalat na may
Ay.
stick sila may stick. Go, alis. Too near.
Oh.
Ganyan.
And-
So sa finish line din, dumating ka na sa finish line. Ikaw, kuha ang sarili mong medalya. Kuha ka ang sarili mong tuwalya.
Hindi na
wala
before,
nang hug, walang shake hands.
Oh.
So, kuha ka
That's
sarili
better.
mong medalya. Suotin mo yung medalya mo. Sa'yo naman yun, di ba?
Oh.
T-shirt, kunin mo si t-shirt mo. Pagkain mo, pila ka doon, may bento box. O, awarding. Nalo ako, first place ako. Kunin mo yung trophy mo doon sa kwarto sa likod ng whatever.
Okay.
Ganon.
You can
So,
post.
kaya.
You can post someone after, ba? You can post after, di ba?
Saka wala na awarding. Ito akin to. O, sige, picture na ako. Tapos na.
Tapos na.
Press con, lahat online. Athlete briefing, online.
Online na.
Misa, online. Welcome celebration, online.
No, so wala na yung dinner, di ba?
Wala nang dinner.
Wala na.
Pupunta ka sa isang area, kunin mo yung pagkain mo, kakain ka sa kwarto mo. Tapos, meron kami...
Safety protocols that are in place, di ba?
Safety protocols are really in place. Talaga, tsaka yung mga hotels, yung mga LGU, sasabihin sa amin kung ano yung accredited leisure hotels. Kasi hindi naman lahat ng hotel
Yeah.
accredited na eh.
Tama.
Under COVID circumstance, right?
Yes.
So, sasabihin din sa amin ng LGU, ito, you have 1,000 rooms. Ganyan. Ito yung leisure hotels, ito yung quarantine hotel. Para alam natin, di ba? Bago rin kami dumating doon sa lugar, lahat tayo naka-RT-PCR na.
Yeah, so ready.
Oo, ready na. So, pagpasok mo, technically, nakabubble tayo.
Oh. For, like, I guess, like the usual triathlon events na you're known for na maraming people on the street, wala na yan. Wala na yan.
Kasi lahat tayo, pwede ka nang mag-tracker. Hanapin mo na lang kung sino yung ano mo, binabantayan mo tao, sige, 335, alam mo kung nasaan na siya.
You don't need to be in the street, just be at home.
Be at home.
Okay.
Nag-pass na siya. Hindi lang mo nakikita siya, kinaklapo siya, pero alam mo eksakto na saan siya. Di mga hydration stations, o kuha kang sarili mong
Hindi na
abot.
that's na.
Oo. Kunin mo sarili mo, 'di ba? Self-reliance.
Yes. Again, no,
Self-reliance.
you're adapting to the new health protocols. You're adapting to the pandemic, di ba? To how you're moving forward despite the pandemic. You're moving forward kasi I think everybody wants to find a way to move forward healthily, di ba?
Oo, maraming taong gustong magkarera. Can you imagine ilang taong Pilipino nag-VR? Kahit tayo lang, pwede tayo mag-VR, tayo lang.
Pwede, no?
Pwede kasi ang daming nag-VR na Filipinos. Any distance, ha? Any distance. Pati Iron Kids may virtual na.
Meron na?
Nag-virtual kami ng Iron Kids. Imagine mo yung mga Iron Kids, di ba, hindi sila makalabas.
Yeah.
Since March, di ba?
And they need an outlet, di ba?
And they need an outlet, di ba? Lahat that energy. They tatakbo sila sa bahay nila.
Exactly.
Around.
Exactly.
Yung isang Iron Girl, ay isang Iron Kid ko, yun ang video niya. Takbo dito, takbo doon, at least gumagalaw.
Tama, no? So that's actually, doing that helps their own health, di ba?
Yes. Actually, masaya talaga mag-triathlon and hopefully makabalik tayo. Either yung dati or yung hindi dati. Kasi kita mo rin sa mga groups kwentuhan ng kwentuhan, lahat ng throwback.
Oo. Throwback Thursday. This is what we did last year, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Ay,
Kasi lahat naman ng triathlon almost in the same timing as previous years.
Yeah.
Pag Cebu, August.
Yeah, it's
Pag
always
Subic, June.
Yeah.
Pag Davao, March, 'di ba? So, lumalabas, sabay-sabay kaming lumalabas. So, may mga days na talaga lahat throwback.
And a lot of the athletes are just itching to go back, di ba?
Yeah. Kaya sila VR ng VR.
So,
ang gagalingan nitong mga to ngayon, magbababike. Sigurado.
Sigurado yan.
Sigurado yan.
They've improved, di ba?
Sigurado yan, yes.
They've improved.
Siguro ang patiran. Kasi nag-treadmill or ngayon pwede na lumabas kahit paano sa MOA, di ba?
They can.
They can. So talagang Goyo, not for anything ha, the LGUs that we continuously work with, saludo ako. Kasi the mere fact na nakakausap na kanila kami, binibigyan nila kami ng oras, hours ha, of discussion.
To how to move
How
forward.
to move forward. Mabigat na trabaho yun for a government official during these times.
Exactly.
So,
kudos to you guys.
oh, thank you talaga. Thank you.
So, I think we
Overtime na kami.
overtime na. But before we go, parting words, Princess.
Parting words,
for
guys, hang on. We have to just hang on. If you feel sad today, just feel sad today. Tomorrow, shake it off. Because we have to continue moving forward. Nobody can help you but yourself. Just put your mind to what you want to do and continue doing it. Hindi ka mag-fail. Promise. Promise. Tuloy ka lang ng tuloy. Just keep at it. Yun. And magkikita tayo even after the pandemic na tayong lahat buo because we follow the protocols.
Exactly. With that, guys, thank you very much for your kind
Thank
words
you
and
also.
advice, no? And guys, just don't stop. Don't stop doing the practice. Don't stop joining events.